Hey, sports fans. Welcome to Sports Unfold, a very special NHL Stanley Cup playoffs show. We are talking some NHL playoffs, the conference finals. I am your host, Eric, the main man right over there. Ron, how are you tonight? Actually, this morning. This is a little weird for us.
This
This
morning.
morning.
Yeah,
This
it's
morning.
so weird that I got the wrong time.
Wrong time on the banner. We're on at
the
6
banner
p.m.
today.
Eastern Standard Time every Friday, not 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
Ron, we're going to talk a little bit about both matchups, and we're going to have a little fun with a Do You Know and try to challenge your hockey knowledge as well. We're going to start off in the Western Conference, the Dallas Stars versus the Edmonton Oilers. Dallas defeating Colorado in the last round 4-2, while Edmonton taking it to game 7. Coming back, though, and winning that game. We're actually up 3-0 and holding on to beat Vancouver 4-3 in that series. Crazy stat. Draisaitl, McDavid, Bouchard all lead the playoffs in points. And I can't remember who the fourth one is, but it's from Edmonton. They put up a lot of points.
I believe it's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins.
And the goal scorer leader isn't even on that list. Zach Hyman, 11 goals, leads the playoffs in goals for Edmonton.
Right.
So you think about it, they've got a lot going on. 3.83 goals for a game, a 37.5% power play, which is number 1 overall. But then we know Dallas, more defensive-minded. Ottinger, 2.09 goals against. They are very good on the power play as well, though, 29%. 2.39 goals against as a team and a 918 save percentage as a team. So they're going to try to slow down Edmonton. Who wins that battle? Because you're talking offense versus defense here, Ron.
Yeah, and look, I keep stressing the fact of goaltending. Goaltending generally wins out. Now, having said that, who has Edmonton beaten? LA Kings, not noted for a goaltender. Vancouver, they were down to their rookie third string quarterback, goaltender.
I mean, that's why they won. That quarterback was playing.
Right. So they didn't exactly face a top-notch goaltender. Now, in comes Jake Ottinger, who is one of the best in the league. I put him in the top 3. And that makes a big difference. And, you have a lot of guys on that Dallas team that knows how to play defensively. And when you got a guy like Tyler Seguin, who's at a plus 10 right now, who you just know him from being an offensive player. And he's a plus 10. So this Dallas team knows how to defend. They can clog up, the offense of Edmonton. And I think they got a very good shot to make it through the finals. You just gotta keep, from Edmonton getting rebound shots. That's what you got to do. You got to clog up that in front of the net and not let them get a second chance.
So I guess I'll ask this question, Ron. Who scores for Dallas, though? Dallas, you can't win a game 0-0.
Right.
Dallas needs
you got some guys on that team that are very capable, Eric. I mean, you have Robertson, you have Jamie Benn, you have Tyler Seguin, Pavelski. They've got some talent there. And they're going to think they're defensive and first, and then when you get the breaks and the chances, then you got to capitalize on them, and that's what Dallas has been doing.
Right, Dallas,
they got to keep doing.
29% on the power play.
Yeah,
right. You try to get that man advantage. That's where they're going to probably be more efficient.
Yeah.
Again, Edmonton's not known for defense. They're going to put up goals.
Right.
How do you get them into penalties and then obviously take
goaltending?
Yeah. So if you can get that man advantage, right, it benefits you. You take a guy off the ice, which obviously benefits you as well, because they can all score. We know that. We've seen it. The top 4 scorers, the number 1 goal scorer in the playoffs, all on Edmonton. So they're very capable. Ron, Edmonton has had this monkey on their back trying to get it off now.
Yeah.
Right? Connor McDavid, we talk about this, the big stars, and can they step up in the big moments? Does Edmonton get by here?
I don't know. That the goaltending is really lopsided in this series. And they struggled with Vancouver, and Vancouver didn't have exactly the greatest goaltender. He was a rookie, a kid coming in. Once he started getting more games in the playoffs, it started becoming more vulnerable. And Edmonton really exposed that. I mean, he couldn't stop everything. So, but when you got a guy like Ottinger who can really turn a game, and it could help a lot, and that's going to make a big difference in this series. I don't look if Edmonton plays exactly like they played Vancouver, they do not win this series.
But here's the conundrum. We've seen Dallas the last few years,
and they never
They have when they have trouble scoring, they'll lose games 2-1.
Yeah,
and that's why this becomes very interesting because Edmonton's going to get some goals.
They're going to get chances too.
How does Dallas put up enough offense? This is a very tough matchup to pick because of that reason. Because you think defensively they could shut them down, but then you've also seen offensively Dallas has trouble sometimes putting points up.
Yeah, and let's face it, Vancouver was more offensive than Dallas, so they had a little advantage. It's just a shame that we didn't get to see Vancouver with Demko.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have loved to see that, to see if that would have made a difference.
But that's why they play the games, Ron.
That's right. That's right.
You got to pick a winner. Who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dallas. I think they're going to get enough done. I think it's going to be a tough series. You're going to see Dallas win some close games and Edmonton win some blowouts. That's the way I see it. But I think it's going to be in 7, Dallas.
Okay, another long series for Edmonton. Yeah. And Dallas, obviously, if it goes 7. All right, Ron, let's talk some Eastern Conference. You got the Florida Panthers versus the New York Rangers. Florida getting by Boston in 6, winning that series 4-2, while the Rangers beat the Carolina Hurricanes 4-2. Rangers seem like the hot pick.
Yeah.
Right? A lot going on. Shesterkin, probably one of the best goaltenders in the playoffs, a .923 save percentage, which is 4th overall in goaltending. But don't sleep on either one of these teams. They both score over 3.5 goals per game in the playoffs. So both of them can put up some points. Power play very good for the New York Rangers, 31.4%. Obviously, the save percentage we talked about, the .923 save percentage, which is 3rd overall. 2.46 goals against, though, for Florida as well. So you think about Bobrovsky, and we kind of question him as a goaltender, but a 902 save percentage, 2.37 goals against. He's performed in the big moments.
Yeah, but I mean, like 902 is good, but it's not great. And outside of the fact that the Bruins just couldn't put up any shots, they squeaked by Boston, really, in my eyes. Yes, they had a lot of territorial play and stuff like that, but now you're going to another beast here. And I love Charlie McAvoy in Boston, but Adam Fox to me is just on another level than McAvoy. He might not be the big hitter that McAvoy is, but his offense is no joke, and he can play some D. And when you got that guy that can basically organize any special teams, whether it's shorthanded or on the power play, and then get to play, 5-on-5, that's a big advantage. And that's going to kind of offset anything that Florida had on their defensive line. Because they had Montour and Forsling, and they had a really good series against Boston. I don't know if it's going to be that good, against the Rangers because of the depth up front on the Rangers. They have, three solid lines that are clicking, and I don't think their defense is going to get the shots like they did against Boston. Because when Boston gets hemmed in, they kind of collapse down towards the goaltender, and that lets the defenseman take shots, and that piles up after a while. I don't think they get away with that against the Rangers this time.
Yeah, much better,
So
right? Offensive talent.
yeah,
Zabinajad leads with 14 points, but they
absolutely.
got Kreider. They've got some guys that can put
Yeah,
the puck in the net. So
absolutely. So I think there's the depth wise of the Rangers is a little better, especially up the middle than what Boston had. Because I mean, frankly, you had Coyle and Zaka taking place of Krejci and Bergeron in the middle. That's a big drop off. And they did nothing in the playoffs. You're not going to find that in New York because they got some guys in the middle that can handle that. And, we haven't even mentioned Artemi Panarin.
mhm.
So, I mean, their depth up front is much better than Boston's. So I think, you know, these these little things are they add up for the Rangers. And when you got a guy, they struggled to score against Swayman. You got Shesterkin in there who is going to do the same job. So you put that goaltending with the depth that the Rangers have, I think the Rangers take the series.
So I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to ask you this: Florida
Yes. Yes.
experience, been there, was in the Stanley Cup Finals last year.
Yep.
You've got guys; these are the same characters. It isn't. And again, last year they made they were the 8th seed,
Yeah.
made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. Obviously, their experience in the playoffs comes into play, and we know everything gets a little tighter in the playoffs.
Yeah, and
Right.
what Florida has that the Rangers didn't get to experience last year is that ability to bully, right? They have that ability to bully. They bullied Boston and Carolina last year. Bullied them. And it was actually astonishing how well they did it. This year, they didn't get to bully Boston, but the effect was there. And Florida just gets away with a lot of things that are borderline, right? And they play that borderline style that reminds me of the Big Bad Bruins back in the day. So they have that borderline style, and I don't think really anybody wants to fight. They just agitate. It's like a team full of
And that's what I think.
Marchands, right?
Yeah, the mentality is, listen, we're going to annoy
Yes.
you. We're going to kind of,
Yes.
make it difficult,
And take you
challenge.
out of your game.
Yeah, and I think you start to question it, and we saw it with Boston, like even with the Marchand injury,
Yep.
right? What was all the players talking about? Oh, well, we've got to, reciprocate. We've got to come
Yeah.
back. But it took you out of your game now at that
It
point.
did. It did.
And that's where I say this is where Florida may have the advantage, because they're not going to your point, they're not going to put up a ton of goal. I think this is going to be much more difficult versus Shesterkin, and Swayman played a great series.
Oh, he would have been playoff MVP if he could have gotten through.
But if they can mentally challenge the Rangers, so the Rangers, to me, out of all 4 teams that are left, is probably the favorite to win it all.
Yeah, I would say
Just
so.
with the depth of the talent, what they have. How does Florida mentally challenge them to say, hey, maybe you're not as good? Is it stealing game 1? Is it, right, making it difficult where, hey, if New York's got to go into overtime in game 1 and be like, wow, wait a minute, this isn't as easy as we thought it was going to be. Does that benefit Florida?
Yeah, even if they lose the first game, if they set a tone that they're going to grind down the New York Rangers, that's the way to do it, because they didn't get to experience it last year. They didn't get to experience it. And, this year, they're going to experience it. Florida is going to try to take it to them like they did to the Bruins in the last series, and that's how they're going to play. And can they grind down the Rangers, especially that defense? I look at it this way. The Bruins had bigger players on the line. You had McAvoy, you had Carlo, you had Forbert for a little while. You had some guys there that are big, strong, tough defensemen. They have Trouba. You're not gonna win unless you can grind down that defense and stop that defense from bringing it out. And if you can get them paranoid, they can cough up the puck. And this is what Florida does best. And they control that neutral zone so well. Look, Paul Maurice, I mean, he's a great coach. He's the best coach that's coaching right now that hasn't won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah, he has some it's a ridiculous record in the playoffs.
Like 940 plus wins or something like that. It's crazy. And he's a really good coach, and he has this team prepared,
So I'll ask you this last question. I know you already said the Rangers, but stepping up in talent, does that benefit the Rangers as well? And I'm not saying Boston wasn't a good team, but the Rangers beat the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah,
and
made them look bad.
Right, a very good team. Does that benefit New York because Florida may have some false hopes as well that, hey, look at us, and you probably beat a Boston team that was good, maybe overperformed in the regular season, and we saw some of their struggles once it got to crunch time here.
Yeah.
Does that benefit New York because they know they've played a much better quality team and handled them pretty efficiently?
Yeah, and you're also looking at a Ranger team that's probably hungrier because they were supposed to do well last year, and they got surprised a little and bounced out early. So you're looking at a very hungry team, a very talented team, and they have a nice blend of young players and veteran players. Look at their depth is no joke. Can Florida's top two lines do enough? That's what we're going to find out, I guess. It's going to be a hell of a series, I think. I think it's going to be very reminiscent of the Bruins Florida series, but only you're going to see a little more skill with the Rangers.
Yeah. So you got the Rangers winning it.
Yeah, probably going 7.
7 games too. You think both series 7?
Yeah. I think it's going to be a grind.
All right. So obviously we'll have another show with the Stanley Cup Finals, kind of discuss that matchup. But right now you've got Dallas and New York in the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
I tend to agree with you. I believe that would be the matchup that makes the most sense if you're looking at everything.
Yeah, it's gonna be a close one, and
but
don't be surprised if Florida gets there, and don't be surprised if Edmonton gets there.
Listen, anything happens, right? We know that, but all right, Ron, let's have some fun before we end our show. We're gonna do a did you know, or do you know, however you want to phrase it. We're going to talk some playoffs, and we're going to talk about the four teams that are in the playoffs currently.
All right.
And the first question is who is, Ron, and do you know the Dallas Stars all-time playoff leader in points?
It's got to be Mike Modano. But I don't know if they're including Minnesota. But I'm going to say Mike Modano.
Mike Modano. Let's see if you're right, my friend. You are correct, sir. Mike Modano. Do you want to guess how many points?
Oh, my God. I'm going to say 56.
Try 118.
Holy mackerel. Boy, he's good.
right? 118 with the Dallas Stars, their all-time leader in points in the playoffs, Mike Modano.
That's incredible.
That
That's
is
incredible.
that
He
is
was a hell of a hockey player.
he really was.
You
Yeah, and
know,
we've
and
talked about him several times. Yeah.
he didn't get like the limelight really at all because there was so many great
Good.
players.
Yeah, that's what's right. You had Lemieux, you had Gretzky's, right? He played all during that era.
Yzerman, Sakic.
Yeah. That was
There's a lot of them.
kind of tough. All right, Ron. Very similar. Who is the Florida Panthers all-time leader in points?
See,
little tougher, right? Because again, the franchise hasn't been around as long.
Yeah, I'm not so sure if it's not somebody on the current team, but I'm going to say Pavel Bure.
Pavel Bure. Ooh, good guess. Good guess. Let's see if you are correct. And you talked yourself out of it, my friend.
Oh, it is
Alexander Barkov.
Yeah, damn it.
Who is currently on the roster.
Player.
50 points.
Yeah.
50 points.
He's a hell of a player. You know, that's Florida's Patrice Bergeron right there. You know, I mean, this guy is good. He is good.
And we started in that Boston series, right? He was always involved in so much of what happened. But all-time leader in points for the Florida Panthers in the playoffs, right there, Alexander Barkov. So you talked yourself out of that.
Yeah, I did.
I did. With your first one. All right, Ron. Can you tell us who is the Rangers' all-time playoff points leader?
That's a little tougher because their history is long. But I'm going to say it's Brian Leetch going back to the D. I believe he is probably the most likely to be that because when you look at the longevity of his career, I'm going to say Brian Leetch, great defenseman.
Let's see if you are correct, sir. It is Brian Leetch.
Oh,
very good. 2-1 right now.
Right there.
2-1. Brian Leetch, 89 points all time for the New York Rangers in the playoffs.
One of the best.
Yeah. Remember we did that one time and he was actually a Bruin, which you kind of forget.
Yeah, I forgot all about that. That's the crazy thing.
Yeah.
He was a Bruin for a hot minute.
Yeah, so that was a good one. Brian Leetch, all-time leading scorer with the New York Rangers in the playoffs, 89 points. All right, I tried to make this. It's not that easy, Ron, because the last question couldn't be who's the Edmonton's all-time leading. Yeah, that would be too easy, right?
That would be too easy.
Who has scored the most goals for Edmonton in the playoffs all time? It could be a trick question. It could
be a trick question.
Gretzky is their all-time leader in points.
I'm going to say it's Jari Kurri, though.
You're going to go Jari Kurri. You sure? That's what you want to go with?
Kurri.
Okay. Let's see if you are correct, sir.
Could be Messier, too, for all I know.
I'm giving you last chance before I show it.
No, I'm going to say Kurri.
You're going to go Jari Kurri? You are correct, sir. Jari Kurri. All-time leader in goals scored.
Kenny, when was the last time you got 3?
Oh, damn. Do you want how many goals?
I want to say it was really large number. I want to say it was like 76 or something like that.
92, Ron.
92, yeah. I
92 goals in a playoff.
Number.
That's insane. 92 goals in a playoff.
This guy was a great player. You're looking at this team who had Gretzky, Messier, Paul Coffey, and you had this guy. You had Glenn Anderson, who was also a hell of a player on that team, too. And there was others. There were others. That was an all-star team.
That is insane. That is insane. So the NHL playoffs kick off tonight. Western Conference, Dallas versus Edmonton. Is it? No, it's the Eastern Conference because Edmonton played yesterday.
Yeah, what's today? Wednesday? Yes, definitely.
Eastern Conference, Florida Panthers versus the New York Rangers. I think that's at 8 p.m. tonight.
Yep.
Just kicks off this NHL Conference Finals series. Very excited to see what happens here, Ron. Great hockey insight tonight, this morning. I got to get used to that. We're usually on every Friday night at 6 p.m. Don't
6
read the
p.m.,
banner.
not 5
6
p.m.
p.m. on Rhode Island Broadcasting. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. So many different ways to like, share, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, MeWe, YouTube. We're on everything. So check us out. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know who you think is going to get to the Stanley Cup Finals. Comment, like, share all of these shows. We appreciate
us everywhere.
Follow us on all our social media platforms. Ron, I know you're excited. I can't wait. We will be talking some NHL on Friday as well. A lot will be happening by then. And don't forget NBA playoffs as well. We had our show the other day as well on the NBA playoffs, which got a big. If the NHL hockey playoffs are by far the best postseason, but if it's anything like yesterday's NBA Eastern Conference Final, Ron, with just complete madness at the end of that game,
that was
and
crazy.
how it turned out, I can only imagine how much crazier it's going to be in the NHL.
I'll tell you what. I'm always one to hop on Jaylen Brown, as you know. But he showed me something yesterday. He showed me something. That was a clutch shot, and I'm just astonished, for one, that that's the word of the day. I've used that a couple of times. But I was surprised that he got it. And
Agreed.
He stepped up, and I will ease up on him because I also loved the fact of his interaction with the fans after he did the interview.
Yeah, coming down the lane and high-fiving and everything.
I love that.
So I can only imagine what tonight brings with the NHL. If this is the start to the playoffs for the final, to get to the finals.
Yeah.
And NBA was crazy. I'm looking so much forward to.
Hey, I got some quick stats for you.
Sure, shoot.
So it gives some players that might not necessarily, be remembered. The all-time leader in save percentage for one playoff season, Bernie Parent, 963.
Wow, 963. Imagine that.
Yeah, and the active player is Ottinger with 954.
Wow.
That's impressive, right? The career leader, Tim Thomas, 932
for his career.
Career.
Great goaltender for Boston, right? Phenomenal.
So just some quick things. So
yeah, that was really
Tim
cool.
Thomas, Bernie Parent, and Jake Ottinger. He's in some elite company right there.
That is awesome. That is phenomenal, Ron. Great information there. We will see you Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time
6 p.m.
on Rhode Island Broadcasting, 6 p.m. All we have asked for every single show is that we could get peace on earth.
Have a great day, everybody.